Hello and welcome to the unofficial Logic 2000 symbolization tutorial. In this tutorial, we'll mainly be looking at how you go about solving symbolization problems in Logic 2000, but we'll also briefly cover some other points, including how to use keyboard shortcuts. Now, let's begin. Now, the first thing I want to mention is this little window that you might see when you first start up Logic 2000. This window asks you if you want to delete your work. Do not press delete. Never press the delete button. Always press continue. I'm not even sure why this window is even here, as it's kind of dangerous. So just be sure to just press continue, which is what we're going to do right now. So in a moment, we should see another window. Once again, don't press delete. Just press continue. And now we'll see the main Logic 2000 window, and you can just press the symbolization button. So now you can just click on select as before to select the next problem. Now since we're using the demo account, you'll see some of the problems have been solved for you. And in fact, some of the problems are exactly the example problems are exactly the same as some of the problems which aren't solved yet. You'll want to solve the unsolved problems for yourself, just so you can learn from them. And then you can just skip the problems that have been solved already. Now, this is a good time to mention that Logic 2000 works in a very progressive fashion, so that there's a very gradual learning curve, and the problems get slightly more difficult every time. So you generally don't want to skip around. You want to go from the easiest problem to the hardest. So today we're going to start with the easiest problem, which is problem number 1. Select problem 1 and click OK, or double click on the problem to select it. Now here there are many buttons. Many of them are similar as in the parsing window, but the ones that we'll be using most in this window are select, direct, check, and close when you're done. So select is the same as in the symbolization, which is it opens up the problem window where you can select what the next problem you want to solve. The check button is very much like the parsing problem. It just checks your work. The direct button is the new one here, and we want to click that in order to enter the solution to our problem. Now if you right click in the white portion of this window, you'll see another window will pop up. And this window is very useful for selecting these special symbols, like the arrow, the not sign, the and, or, and these other signs which will come up in later chapters. In chapter 1, you'll generally be using just these first two symbols, the arrow and the not sign. And notice when I hover the mouse over any of these symbols, there's a little tooltip shows up, and it shows you what the keyboard shortcut for these symbols is. I highly recommend that you memorize these shortcuts and use them as much as possible in Logic 2000. It'll make getting through the problems much faster if you type them than if you make this window pop up and click on them every time. This will especially make a difference when you do the derivations, but even in the symbolizations, this could save you a lot of time. Now, one other thing about these keyboard shortcuts is, in the case of these shortcuts, they're always going to start with Control-Shift, and then it's going to be followed by one letter, which is a mnemonic for the symbol that you're using. So the not symbol, for example, is Control-Shift-N, and the arrow here is Control-Shift-C for conditional. The other symbols for Chapter 2 and Chapter 3 are also mnemonic. I'm not going to go into them here, though. From here, I'm just going to close this window and just from now on just type the symbols myself instead of making this window pop up. But if you ever need to remember what the mnemonic is for any of these symbols, remember you can always right click in the white portion of the direct pop-up window and have this reminder come up. Okay, so now we can look at our problem and see that the problem is the Bruins fail to win. Now this is the English language sentence that we want to convert into logic symbols. and we can use, on our left hand side, it tells us which letters we can use. or the only letter we can use for this problem is W. So what we want to do is we want to figure out how we symbolize the Bruins failed to win using W, which means the Bruins win. So I would guess that this is not W, and you can just type that in and click OK. And now we just click on check, and in the upper right hand corner we see that it's correct. So we can go to the next problem. Just click select, and it says, do you wish to save this current problem? Just click yes. So now we can go to problem 2. But before we go there, note whereas before problem 1 was black, now it's turned green. Just like in parsing, the problems will turn green when you get them right, and red when you save them, but you've gotten them wrong or they're incomplete. So let's go on to problem number 2. Okay, in this one, the problem is Ina will not fail to be chosen as campaign manager, using P to mean Ina will be chosen as campaign manager. Here again, we're going to click on direct, and let's try not P, and click OK, and click check, and it's correct. So we can go on to the next problem. As you can see, the basics of entering the answers to the problems is pretty simple in this, but I want to cover one more topic here before we end, and that is what happens when you get something wrong. Let's click on direct again and change our not P to say not P, and see what happens. OK, and click on check, and it says incorrect on the upper right, and you'll notice that now the P has an error next to it. Now if you click on this red error, you'll get an explanation of what's going on here. I'll make this one a little larger here so we can read it. It says, in the immediately preceding box you have the expression which you've identified as the atomic expression P, and we do have P right here, and the English expression should be a stylistic variant of Ina will fail to be chosen as campaign manager, and the correct logical form of this expression is a negation. So it kind of gives us a hint as to what it wants. It wants something that starts with a negation. It really wants, instead of a P, it wants a not P. So if we put in not P instead of P itself, then it'll be right, as we saw before. So one other thing we want to notice here is that there are two levels here, and the not is on one level and the P is on the second level. So the error here regards the P, which is on this level. It doesn't actually talk about this not, which is right. It doesn't have an error next to it. If there's more than one error, you'll see a separate error box for each error, and the error just concerns whatever's to its left. So in this case, we can just click OK here, click on direct again, put in not P instead of the P to get not P, click OK, click check, and that's it. So I'll let you do the rest of the problems on your own. Good luck, and I'll see you in the next tutorial.